Oh crap, I have to film my wrap up. I am 100% rewarding myself with Chipotle after this. Hello everybody and welcome to yet another month of Destiny? Welcome to another month of Destiny reading pretty much whatever she wants. I mean, I guess that's the whole entire point of my book channel. Why did I say book channel like I have another channel? I don't have another channel. This is my only channel. Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another monthly reading wrap up. July 2023 edition. The month and the year that Barbie took the world by storm. These are all the books that I read plus a few on my Kindle because this month, for some reason this month, me and my Kindle, we were like this. Okay, even some of these books I decided to read on Kindle. Okay, let's see how many books that I read this month because I really don't know. I've been trying not to keep track because I do tend to hyperfixate on numbers when that's not what this is about. This is about just reading, you know, but let's just see how many. Okay, we read 10 books. 11 books this month. Anyway, so starting off the month strong, we have A Court of Mist and Fury. Now, this is a reread. If you guys don't know, I was fully annotating it. Look at that. So I started off the month super strong, rereading the ACOTAR series because I really wanted to get my ACOTAR video up in July. And then I started stressing out about videos and rereading books. Put myself in a little bit of a slump. Literally the past week and a half is when I think I read 9 books in the past week and a half because that's like when I got the majority of my TBR. But anyway, of course this is a 5 stars. I'm not going to delve too deep into this because like I said, there is a entire full spoiler video coming out on my channel within the next few months. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm still in the middle of ACOTAR War right now. It was going like this and now it's kind of going like this. So I want to continue rereading these in August and see how far I can make into them. But of course this is a 5 stars. This is my favorite book in the whole entire series. So of course we have to love it. Next up, I read The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros, and this is the author of Fourth Wing, which took like the whole entire book community and even the world by storm in May or June, I forget which month it was, but I got this because I wanted to read some of her other books. And when I tell you guys that this plot twist emotionally slapped me in the face, like I literally was not even expecting it. You were like expecting one thing. Like it is a lot. And listen, I loved this book. I gave this book a 4. Did I give it a 4 or 4.5? I'm gonna give you a 4. This is basically about a woman and she is this guy's pen pal in the army because her brother's in the army, and she like asks if anybody else needs a pen pal, and she's writing this guy. Something happens and our main guy shows up at her doorstep and he's like, hey, your brother sent me to like help you guys. That's like basically what's happening. I know it kind of may sound a little confusing, like I'm giving you guys the bare bones, but listen, I kind of am giving you guys the bare bones. I don't want to give too much, so you gotta read it if you want to know. I liked this romance in this book because it felt more emotions based and not physical based, and I really prefer romances that are like that. It like takes place in Colorado. Don't ask me to remember details like that in books. Like I will literally remember the bare minimum. The weird thing is that I could tell you a lot about the book, but like those specific tiny details I can't remember. Okay, what did I read next? Okay, then I read this book, which is Inseparable. This month specifically, I had been getting a lot of people recommending me Kindle Unlimited books, and so I was like, okay, I went through like this phase in the month. Like even though I didn't finish them, guys, I kid you not, I started 10 different books on my Kindle Unlimited. I don't even want to look at my Goodreads. I haven't looked at my Goodreads because when you start a book on Kindle, at least my Kindle does this, I don't have it turned off where it like automatically updates to Goodreads. So people probably think I'm in the middle of like 35 different books. I kid you not. Actually, let's go check my Goodreads and let's see. It says I'm in the middle of 18 books. 18 books. A lot of them are the random Kindle Unlimited books that I started, which is kind of embarrassing. But this was one of them that I saw like a snippet of on Kindle. And you guys know, like sometimes, this is a part of the month I was feeling a little bit like slumpy. Like I was like, oh God, is it the return of the book slump? Like I can't do this. Also, I do want to say this. I was watching one of Haley's videos and she said this and it really stuck with me. It was along the lines of like, is it a book slump or am I just at a busier time in my life where I don't have as much time to sit down and read a book? And that is kind of how I was feeling, where it was like, I feel like it was a mix of a book slump, but also like I didn't really have a lot of time And I just thought like you guys would benefit from hearing that. I don't know, I benefited from hearing it, so I thought that you would too. I was feeling a little bit slumpy at this point, and I was like, sometimes you just need a really dramatic book to get you out of it. I actually read this book in this video. If you guys want to see like my full reactions to this book, because it was a wild ride, watch this video. This book is about a girl, and she is best friends with these two guys, has been since childhood. They're in high school. That's when the book starts off, is they are in high school, and you follow them basically through their lives. And it is just, I literally felt like I had been on like a roller coaster. I think that I have less whiplash going on a physical roller coaster than I did this book. Guys, when I tell you that I was in such disbelief that I literally had to text Sarah the whole entire plot and every single little detail that happened in the book, because she was like, I'm never gonna read this book. Yeah, go ahead. She literally thought that I was leaving her unread. No, I sent her one of the messages that you have to click. You have to click the message because there was so much written in it that I was saying about. Genuinely, like the plot twist that this book pulled out, it was okay, I know, okay. I've lately been very hyper aware that I say genuinely a lot, and people are like, no, it's like your word, but now I feel very insecure about it because I say genuinely to like kind of get my point across, and I feel bad about it. Anyway, it literally took me back to me being like 16, 17. It's 3 a.m. I've been up for hours reading a book on Wattpad, and if you guys were like Wattpad readers like I was, one of the authors were like my age, okay? We were all like 16, 17, writing the most out-of-pocket things ever. But this was like a thing on Wattpad, was to like pull out every single like traumatic trope that you can, like every single kind of like bad thing that could happen in a relationship or to a person would happen in the Wattpad book. If you guys were on Wattpad, then you guys would know. Like they would just pull out like cheating trope, kidnapping, like just the most random out-of-pocket stuff, right? That's what this book was doing. It was pulling like every single out-of-pocket plot twist that you can pull in a book, and I just was bam, 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 bam. Like literally I was like, I wonder if this will happen, and then it did, kind of to a point where I was like, this could not possibly happen. And it did. I gave this a 2 stars because like, did I like the romance in it? No. But the reason that I got a 2 stars is because I was so entertained. Like I was really laughing out loud. Jaw was on the floor in disbelief over what was happening in the book. You know what? I was having a good time. Not because I liked the storyline or the writing or anything. Like that was all just but it was just genuinely the plot twist that were happening in this book was insane. Then next in this same video, you guys saw me read this book and I've got a lot of comments. I read Behind the Net because this again was another book. I'd seen this circulating around, but it was also another Kindle Unlimited book that I had found. And when I tell you guys I gave this a 4.5 stars, I cannot remember the last time I gave a hockey romance a 4.5 stars, but it was so good. Basically the synopsis is that you have the main guy. Why can I not? I can't remember names for the life of me. Also, when I get off my book buying ban, 100% buying a physical copy of this book. 100% need it. But anyway, the guy in this book, he's like an NHL hockey player, or is it an NHL? NHL hockey player. He basically, his team's like trying to hire him an assistant. The assistant turns out to be a girl that he went to high school with, and it is a dual POV book, and she thinks that he doesn't remember her, but he does remember her, and you just read stuff in his point of view. It's just so good. And also any book that talks about Fleetwood Mac, like the music taste and choice in this book was so out of this world amazing. Like I loved it so much. Like generally there wasn't much of a plot, but honestly with hockey romances, like there's barely ever a plot. Kicking my feet, giggling, like it. Yeah, I was down bad. Okay, then I started reading the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now, this is the same author as Inheritance Games. I don't know how I didn't know. And I also heard that, I think it's called The Debutante. She has like another series that I am going to want to get into after this. But I started off with the Naturals. This is the first book in the Natural series. You got it. So they're all young adult books. And you know what? We might as well just talk about them all at once, okay? Okay, so the ones that I read this month were the Naturals, Killer Instinct, which is book 2, and then All In, which is book 3. We'll start with the Naturals. Our main character is Cassie. She is, I think, 17, and she is basically has lived her life with her mom on the road. Her mom's like kind of this, what did her mom do? I can't find the word to describe it. And something happens to her mom, so she has to go move with her dad, and then she gets brought up to be a part of the Naturals, which is like a program for the FBI that people don't really know about, but it's basically like these teenagers that have these super good capabilities for the FBI. So for example, Cassie is a profiler. She's very good at like doing the profiling stuff, getting into like serial killers' minds. And you have Dean, who is also a profiler. Then you have Michael, who is very good at reading emotions. You have Leah, who is good at like telling lies from the truth. Then you have Sloane, who basically, if you watch Criminal Minds, is essentially Spencer Reid. But she is my favorite. Sloane is my favorite in this whole entire series. I just love her so much. It's basically a young adult Criminal Minds. It's so entertaining. Again, if you liked the Inheritance Games because it had fast chapters, it was very fast paced, you will love this series. I was a little bit like, am I really gonna like it? Like, I went through this, I finished this book in like, was it 3 hours? I can't remember, somewhere around there. Like, I flew through this book and immediately had to go into Killer Instinct. So I rated The Naturals a 4.5 because it was a very strong like introduction. Then we have Killer Instinct, which this one, again, honestly, there's like, because it's like a Criminal Minds type of thing, so you are following this like mystery throughout them, which is another like fun thing that you do. I do guess them pretty much every time. This also has a found family trope, and it's a young adult book. I fell in love with every single one of the characters. I genuinely have such a good time. Like, even when we're not focusing on the mystery of the book, I don't even care because I want to spend time with the characters. That's how it feels. Also, Jennifer Lynn Barnes doesn't have to build up the characters. Like, she doesn't have to go through like 5 pages for each character building it up. Like, you honestly get like a bare bones introduction to the characters and just jump into the story, and you just learn to love them along the way. Anyway, then we have Killer Instinct, which I actually ended up giving a 5 stars because I really, really loved this book. I loved the storyline and stuff that started happening in this book. Like, is it so unrealistic? Absolutely. Like, are teenagers getting put into the FBI? No, from my knowledge. Is this a thing? I don't think it is. But I just eat it up. And there's a love triangle in this book. Y'all know that I despise love triangles. I don't like them. Jennifer Lynn Barnes has always made it where I can read one though that she does them like no other. Okay, so I gave this one a 5 stars, and then we have All In, which I also gave 5 stars. I was all in, all hands on deck for this book. I talked about this book on my Instagram story because I was in the middle of this book and I went on my book buying ban. I feel like I haven't stopped talking about the book buying ban, and I really need to. I really need to just, you know, about the book buying ban. Only was able to find the first 3 books in the physical copy before I went on my book buying ban, and I was in the middle of reading this book and I literally was like, okay, I'm almost done with it. I need to directly go into the 4th book. Like, I have to finish. Like, I literally don't want to read anything else except this book, okay? But I was like, crap, I can't buy the physical copy. Okay, I'm gonna read it on Libby. Went to go read it on Libby. They're like, your library card's expired. I was like, I'm not going inside the library. I literally was an anxious mess about thinking about going inside the library, okay? I still have to eventually. I just have to work out my nerves to do it. Okay, what am I gonna do? My angel mom literally went and bought me the physical copy of Bad Blood. I'm still in the middle of that book because of other reasons, but I'm basically saying all of that to say that this book was so good in the storyline that I immediately just like had to want to finish the series, because this one, none of these end on a cliffhanger where you're like, oh my god, I have to go directly into the next book, but this one kind of did end on a little bit of a cliffhanger where you're like, okay, I need to go to the next book. What did I read next? Let me look at my Notion. Oh, okay. So this is where we start getting into me actually reading my set TBR for the month, because none of those books were on my set TBR that I got from this video. But I did start reading them, guys. I did start. So first of all, we have Children of Fallen Gods by Carissa Broadbent. Now, this is the 2nd book in the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, which the first book is Daughter of No Worlds. If you guys watched my last reading wrap up, then you guys would know that I read Daughter of No Worlds, and I gave it a 4 star. Really, really enjoyed it. I gave this one a 2.5. I started this at the beginning of the month and I didn't finish it until a few days ago, which is not like abnormal, but it is for me because especially I'm a person that I can be in the middle of multiple books at the same time, but honestly, for me personally, I can finish the book within a few days. This book I was so out of touch with. It was so slow, so painfully slow. Nothing really starts happening in this book until like 70-ish, like 60-70-ish% through the book. I was just, the way this book ended. The way this book ended, I will eventually have to read the 3rd book because I want to know what happens, even though I know everything will be fine in the end. The way, just the events that conspire, I think like the last 5% of this book was what was like, okay, like once I got to the last 5%, then I couldn't put the book down. You're telling me I gotta get through 95% of this book, this thick book to start getting interested in what is happening to the plot. Like, this book felt like a filler book with a lot of information to go on to the finale of the series. Like, it didn't feel like much was happening in this book. Like, there would be action, but it wasn't like the action to get anywhere. Like, it didn't feel like we were getting anywhere with the action. It just felt like, well, we got to put something in here, because like if we have no action, like nothing's going on. That's what it felt like. And also there was this third like point of view thrown in, because usually you would get Tasana's point of view and Max's point of view, and there was this random third point of view like thrown in there, and for literally almost the entirety of the book I was like, who is this? Why does this matter? What is going on? And it didn't tie it in a way, because also it's taking place like in a different storyline. So it also like wasn't adding to like what was going on with Tasana and Max, which just confused me even more. Like, I don't know. This one, yeah, 2.5 stars. Okay, also I have to talk about this because I didn't DNF this book, but I did get through probably like 40% of this book. I'm on page, or 40% is probably like, actually, I'm on page 185 of Red Rising right now, and I feel like I'm like 40% through. I did want to talk about this because I did get almost halfway through this book. I'm like just overgeneralizing it. Like, I'm just overgeneralizing everything. But I did get that far into this book, so I was like, okay, let me see. I still want to talk about it because I'm not DNFing it. It's just a book that I have to slowly get through, because when I first started reading this book and picked it up, this book throws you in immediately, and his writing is good. Like, his writing is very good, but it's almost that type of writing that I feel so dumb reading. You were just immediately thrown in, and I'm so confused. Like, I'm genuinely so confused of what's going on. Like, for the first like 20-ish, 30-ish pages, I was like, I even downloaded the book on Audible because I was like, let me try to listen to this, because none of the words were commuting to my brain. Imagine this is like the path to my brain. The words were just like, just going away from me. I don't even know if you guys are getting this visual, but anyway, basically the words weren't going like following the train tracks to my brain. Like, there's probably a lot of detours to get anything to my brain realistically, but nothing was commuting to my brain. And then I went through like a little bit where I'm like, okay, I get what's going on. Okay, I get it. And then I went directly back into like, I don't get what's going on. I'm not DNFing this book. I will probably even end up finishing this in August because it was an interesting plot, and I looked it up on TikTok, and like a lot of people love the series. And if somebody tells me how much they love something, I have to. Like, I have to give it my best valiant effort, okay? And it's not like I'm disliking this book. That's not what it is. I'm not like, oh, I don't like this book at all. Like, I can appreciate the writing. He has very good writing, and honestly, he's very descriptive within his writing, because I've talked about multiple times before where it's very hard for me to like imagine things clearly when I'm reading a book, and it helps me when authors do have extremely descriptive writing, and he has very descriptive writing where I was seeing it play out almost like a movie in my head, which I appreciate. It's just that I feel so unintelligent reading this book. Like, I feel like I don't get it at all. So it's going to take a valiant effort to get through, but we will see what I think about it once I finish. But I did feel like I should be able to talk about how far I've gotten into it, since I did put a lot of effort into reading it this month, but I did not finish it yet. A book that I did finish was Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This I will categorize as the most unneeded sequel to ever happen. The first book is Vicious, right? And honestly, when I read Vicious, I knew that this was a thing, and it was like the second book in the little series. And when I finished Vicious, I was very confused. Like, not confused, but I was just kind of underwhelmed, because I was like, I don't see why we need a second book. Are there a few loose ends? Yeah, but like nothing that's gonna keep me up at night and be like, oh, when's the second book coming out? When's the second book coming out? And this is all personal opinion, because I'm sure to some people it was like, I need to know what happened. Honestly, what needed to be wrapped up was wrapped up in the last book. I was very slow to even want to read Vengeful, but then of course my TBR curated this book for me last month, so I was like, okay, I'll read it. And I read it, and it just, I didn't like it. I gave this a 2.5 stars. I just was not having a good time reading it. This book is a lot thicker than Vicious was. This book is literally almost 500 pages long, like, and it just felt so dragged out. Every single thing was dragged out, and we added a new character in that had like new superpowers and had nothing to do with the original plot. So it basically just felt like a continuation of some of the character stories that we just honestly didn't need, but I can understand, like, if you liked the characters, maybe you want to see more of them. And you see those characters, but you also add in like a few new characters and just a new storyline. It was basically just making up a new storyline for these characters to be involved in. It wasn't like continuing their story. I mean, I liked it at first. I liked the main new like person that we were introduced to. I was like, you get it, girl. But then it got so old after a while, and even like the battle scenes underwhelming. I just didn't really love this one. Next up we have Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This book also got a 2 stars for me. So this book, you were following Laurel, and Laurel's daughter Ellie went missing years ago, and you were basically following Laurel as she is dealing with her daughter's disappearance. And one thing that I liked about this book was the way that it did talk about and kind of almost tackle what it would feel like if you had a child go missing, not just like what it would feel like as a mom and a parent, but also as like maybe effects it has on other children that you may have in your family, and kind of moving on with life afterward, and how everything comes to a standstill. That is why this book got a 2 stars, because I really liked that part of the book. Like, I genuinely enjoyed that insight on it. However, this is not like a literary fiction book. If this was a literary fiction book where they genuinely just focused on that, I think that I would rate it very highly. This is a thriller. Okay, so there is obviously a mystery that we're getting to. I think within the first 30 pages, I had guessed the plot twist of this book, and I had guessed what was going to happen. Of course, there was like one part that I didn't guess, but that part wasn't like the big plot twist. I guessed the big plot twist literally so close into the book, and I was like, oh, okay. So I basically just spent the rest of the book waiting for the other shoe to drop, not in a good way, just waiting for them to basically tell me that I was right. And also this book was just a little odd. It kind of felt dark, but not in like a, ooh, this is like a thriller and it feels dark type of way, but in a like, this is kind of sad and depressing type of way, which I guarantee you was very much purposeful. Also, the little girl in this book, creepy. Okay, the last book that I finished this month was To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays. I feel like once I finished talking about the Natural series, this all just really went downhill. I gave this book a 2 stars. This book I think was written in 2015. Authors will sometimes like age a book, and what I mean by that is this book felt like it was written in like 2014, 2015. Everything that they were talking about, but also because like the way that, even if you go on like Wattpad or read some books from 2015, the way that like guys were written, specifically there's like this scene where he like tells her like how to dress, like you shouldn't be wearing that, like you shouldn't be wearing that out, where like I feel like that was glorified back then. Like, I know a front row seat that I remember seeing posts and stuff and thinking that that was like a thing to be glorified, was a guy basically essentially telling you what to wear because they don't want you like going out looking like that. Like, I feel like that used to be heavily romanticized, and that's absolutely like not something to romanticize. It's very controlling and weird when a guy does that. But that's what I'm saying, like little things like that that definitely aged the book, that I could tell. And also the writing just wasn't the best. And the weird thing is that I've read Marriage for One by her, and I gave that book a 4 stars. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed that book and had a good time reading it. This one I just didn't like. It was the clothing thing. What else was it? Well, the relationship didn't feel like they really liked each other. Here's the thing. The book is basically, you are following Olive and Jason. The Olive growing up, her brother and Jason were best friends, right? And so you start the book getting the past point of view of her like following them around. She always had a huge crush on Jason, and he was like a little bit older than her, and then he had to move away, and then now it's the present and they haven't talked in years, and he's this big movie star. When they first meet again initially, it didn't feel like when you do read like childhood friends to lovers stories where it's like, or they knew each other in the past, where it's like, oh, this like reconnection, I can't believe I'm seeing her after so many years, like I missed her so much because I had this previous connection to her. It very much felt like she grew up and now all of a sudden there's just like a sexual attraction there, and it felt very objectifying. And just when it's that much in my face, like an objectifying, I just don't really enjoy it personally, and that's all a personal opinion. And it's just some of the stuff that gave me the ick in this book that I just didn't really enjoy that much. It just wasn't for me, so I gave it a 2 stars. There's one thing I'm gonna have, it's an opinion, and I definitely have an opinion on all of these books that I read this month. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys found some entertainment out of it, some new book recommendations, whatever you see fit. Hope you found some enjoyment from today's video. If you guys did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that you guys know how to do. Hopefully next month's reading month is better. I want to be a lot more of like a mood reader and not worry as much about like, I want to set a TBR because I think it's fun, but I also want to like just mood read all throughout the month. I don't know. Let me know. Don't let me know. Whatever you guys want to do. And I will see you guys when I see ya. Peace.